to the Symbaloo.
Teachers have different disciplinary goals in social studies. Some teachers believe that social studies, the goal is for students to learn.
All right, are we there? I'm trying to get some head nods, some thumbs ups. Good. All right, I just want to make sure. Perfect. So I'm gonna stop talking for 30 seconds and let you guys just kind of click around and see what it's like. Okay, so hopefully you've had the opportunity to click on a couple of the tiles and just get a basic understanding for what the purpose of Symbaloo is and how it works as far as the tile creation process. Again, this is not comprehensive. Literally, as all of the feds were sharing their resources earlier, I was thinking how cool it would be to create one with all of those great fed resources, because I feel like I'm over here trying to write down and bookmark as we go, and it would be so awesome to make a Symbaloo that had all of the different fed resources on it. So that's a use from it right out the gate that you could definitely use. Now that you have kind of had a few minutes to experiment with one, I encourage you to try to create your own. Again, the personal accounts are free. There's no cost to them. You can just go to Symbaloo.com and hit the sign up in the top right corner and get started under the personal option. All it's going to ask for is an email address, your name, and a password, or you can sign in with Facebook and Google. I think it gives you those two options. And so again, just so you guys get to actually experience what it's like, it's got some great step-by-step instructions. So once you get logged in, it's going to show you piece by piece how to add the tiles and how you can customize it and how you can add colors and you can name your web mix and all of those things. It's very intuitive with all of its instructions. But if at any point in time you kind of get confused or you're not sure what to do, there's a little hand that you'll see that's kind of on the left side, or as you're working on something, you'll see the little hand at the top. If you click that little hand, it'll help guide you through the next process in that stage. So again, very intuitive, very helpful as far as getting it set up and getting it going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to give you guys about 3 minutes is all we've got. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to go ahead and sign up for that free account and put 3 of your favorite resources on it. So go ahead and click on the tile and put the link and pick the picture and all of that and kind of start to create your own useful Symbaloo. So again, I'm going to give us, well, I guess we really got 2 minutes. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes.
I have a quick question, if you can hear me.
Yes, please.
There are several options. One of them is teachers and teams, and the other one is personal. Which one is the better one?
Personal is no cost. So that's the one that I would suggest you use as you're getting used to the program. And then if you find out that you really love it and want to expand it and collaborate with others, then maybe it's worth going to the teacher account, which costs about $50 a year.
Thank you.
Personal is no cost.
When I was just on it, there was an option for educators, but so you can sign up for an Educator Pro one with ads, and it's free.
Okay, perfect.
Hello?
Was the educator one with ads under the teachers and teams?
Yes. I clicked on plans, and then it showed it on the far right.
I've used this when doing doing workshops with teachers as an easy access. My only snag is that sometimes there's a school district that we're hosting it in that it's blocked.
Yes, that is true with any sort of website that you're using, and I agree that there are issues sometimes with it. But we've generally found that it does work. And again, I think I use it again for more personal use than anything, just to kind of organize my thoughts. But like you can see with the personal finance, I do send that out to teachers and say, if they're asking for resources, well, here's a starting point. Dig into these, and then if you have any questions, I'll happily follow up with those. I know that our time is short, but I want to make sure Teresa and Chris have time. So if any of you were able to create a Symbaloo and are willing and able to share it, even if it only has one tile, but just the ability to understand how to share, at the very top, there is an icon that says share in the center of the page. And then once you click that, you can select the blue share icon. It's kind of on the left side. And then if you copy link, you can paste that into our Zoom chat so that we have an opportunity to see what you guys are able to build. I know, again, I only gave about 2 minutes, but I just wanted you to have the experience of what it's like to put a tile on, but then more importantly, what it is like to share it out for you to be able to use it in workshops or in your classroom or any place where you think that it would be applicable. And that is it from me. So thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Teresa.
All right, let me get mine situated here. All right, and I'm going to share my screen. All right, good well, depending on where it's afternoon, it's still morning-ish for us in here in Arizona. So I'm going to talk about Classroom Screen and how to use Classroom Screen not only to teach economics, but how you can use it whether you are in person or doing virtual trainings. And so my name is Teresa Mungai, and I do work for the Arizona Council on Economic Education. So the first thing I would love for you to do is, let me actually show you what Classroom Screen looks like. Is there anybody that has used Classroom Screen? Thumbs up if you've used it. Couple. It's becoming more and more popular in Arizona. So this is Classroom Screen. I'll put the link in the chat box so that you can have it. And it is 100% free. And so you go to this website, my classroomscreen.com, and it's totally free. All you have to do is hit launch. Don't worry about ever signing up. I've never signed up and haven't had a problem. So I'm just going to walk you through the different functions within Classroom Screen, and then I'm going to show you an economic lesson or game that I do in a lot of teacher trainings using Classroom Screen, especially since we're doing everything virtual now. So this is what Classroom Screen looks like, and you'll see down at the bottom there's a lot of different widgets that you can use. So the first one I'm going to show you is that you can pick the backgrounds. I like to use a chalkboard because it's dark and it's not too busy, but you can see from here there's a ton of them. You can even do animated ones, but I'm not the kind of person that likes to look at something that's really super busy when I'm trying to learn. So I try to keep it simple, but you can do solid colors. You can add your own background, whatever you choose. So these are all the ones that are in there. So those are the backgrounds. There is a random name generator. So if you are doing, a lot of times, like if we're doing a teacher workshop, or I'm going to show you one where it's a game where students would normally pick up a card off the table, you can use this as kind of picking a card. And so you can put whatever on each line, one name per line or one card per line, however you want to do it. And it will let you randomly choose. And then using the little gear up here, you can also make it so once something is picked that it takes it off the list, which is really nice as well. And you'll see here that it does say if you have a free account, which is what I'm using right now, it will still save up to 3 different lists for you. So that's nice too. So if there's one that you use regularly, it will save it for you. So that is the random name generator, and I'll show you how that works more later. There are dice. So if you want to play a dice game with your teachers or students, it even makes the sounds. So you can hear the dice actually roll. So depending on how many dice you want to use, there's 1, 2, or 3. And so that's really nice to be able to pull that up as a visual. So even if you're in person, you can pull this up like on a smart board or the projector and have it roll the dice for you, which is really cool. More for teachers, but if this is something that you're going to share with teachers in your area, there is a sound level. So if they want some kind of visual representation that is just way too noisy in the classroom. Right now it's picking up my mic, so obviously I'm noisy. But you can set when it turns to red so that your students can see that. You can insert media. So you can put an image, you can put a YouTube video, you can embed something, or you could even have it put your web camera up on the classroom screen as well. So that's kind of a neat feature. This one is my favorite though, especially if you're teaching virtually. So you can type any website in here, and this, let me see if I can get it to move down. There we go. You can type any website in here and it automatically creates a QR code. So I'm going to put our website, arizonaecon.org. So if you were to scan that right now, it would automatically go to our website, which is really nice. You can put any website in there and it automatically makes that QR code visible for anybody. So that is a nice feature. And then you have some normal ones. You can draw. So it gives you a whiteboard feature. You can do text. So if you just wanted to type something, so those are some nice features to have. And then it has some classroom management tools in here too. So you have work symbols. So if you want to indicate that it's time to be quiet, you can whisper, you can ask a neighbor, or it's okay if everybody's working together, to give everybody kind of a visual clue of what the expectation is for that time period. And then there's a traffic light. So if you have little kids, if you're working with elementary students, it's kind of nice to give them some direction that way of what they should be doing. And then the one that I probably use the most is when I do virtual trainings. I use this timer for breaks. So I share my screen and let it sit there and go through the timer, and it makes, you can pick what kind of sound you want. I'm a big fan of this one. That your timer is off. But there's a lot of different sounds you can pick, and so it does count down for you. And then there's also a stopwatch, a clock, which I don't know if you'd want to put a clock up there. If you want to put it in military time to confuse people, you can do that too. Mine's not changing because it's only 11:45 here, but that would be confusing for people. I actually used to hang my clock upside down in my classroom, so when kids started going like that, I could tell what they were doing. So those are on there. And then lastly, there is a calendar. So if you're explaining to somebody when something is coming up, you can also pull a calendar up and use that as a visual cue as you are talking. And then lastly, there is a little toolbar here on the right-hand side. So if you want to minimize how much space the widgets are taking up, you can make it so it's not so prominent. So black or white. So that is Classroom Screen. So what I'm going to do is show you one of the ways that I've used Classroom Screen to do some elementary training. So I picked this lesson and it actually, we even have Andrew here. It's a lesson by Andrew Hill. Go Andrew. My teachers love this lesson. So it's Uncle Judd's Barber Shop. And if you're not familiar with this lesson, there is a card game involved. And so this is the actual lesson. But in the lesson itself, and sorry for the scrolling, but I did want to show you there is a ledger. So people are picking cards and they have a savings goal of $50. And so they're trying to, get there by picking a card and rolling dice. And so that's where the Classroom Screen comes in. So I give this to my participants. And then what I did, because they can't pick a card if we're going virtual, is I took all the little snippets off of each card and I put it into a Word document so that I could just cut and paste it and put it into the random name generator. And so that's what I've done here. And so you'll see that all the cards have been entered into the random name generator. And then we're going to use our dice. So let me get 2 because we need 2. And so and I don't know why it keeps deleting the word house right here. I don't know why, but it's really annoying. So what I would do is, if we can't be together and sit at a table and pick up cards and roll dice, is that I have teachers go into breakout rooms, and after I've shown them how to use Classroom Screen, and they run their own little card game in their breakout room. And so you can have them choose a card just by clicking choose. So you buy candy at a store, and then in order to figure out how much you spent, you would roll the dice. So they would add or subtract because they bought something. So they would subtract $10 from their ledger. And so what you do is you just go through the game, and each person, whoever's sharing their screen, runs the game. And so you're paid to do some yard work for your neighbor. Let's see how much you got paid. And you got $6. And so each person would go through and do that until you had your winner at $50. So that's just one way that I use Classroom Screen. Again, I use it for a lot of different functions, but whether you're teaching virtually or if you put it up on the smart board or whatever, it's just a good visual way to keep everybody engaged and to be able to do some of those things that we can't do because we're not in person. So any question about Classroom Screen?
Where can I find Andrew's game? I wasn't familiar with it.
Oh, if you go to the St. Louis Fun, it's Uncle Judd's Barbershop is the lesson. And then it's in the directions. The game is actually part of the lesson.
Got it.
So shout out to Andrew. Awesome. Teachers in Arizona love this. So that is Classroom Screen.
Thanks, Teresa. That's awesome. Yeah, when we were prepping for this, and Teresa shared that with Chandler and I was like, yes, this is great. So I now have that saved on my favorites bar. All right, so I'm going to share a resource that's actually not out yet. You're sort of going to get a sneak peek at something here. It's an unfinished version of it, sort of. I guess it's not quite the beta. Maybe it's the gamma version because we're a little past beta, but we're not quite ready for the the zeta or the omega version of it. So it's called Econ Express, and if you have your little folded sheet that said "Don't open until the EdTech showcase," this is where you. Ooh, I see them there. Thank you. Thanks, folks, for holding those up. Now is the time to open that. I'm going to give you some of the answers. But I'm not going to give them all to you because I'm going to make you do a little bit of work to get them here. But I will tell you that if you fill out this sheet, if you fill out all the forms here on this worksheet, and you either take a picture of it or scan it or whatever, and you email it to me, the first 5 that I get emailed back to me will get a fancy schmancy Econ Express t-shirt in the mail sometime probably in August. We don't have those printed yet because we're redoing the logo. So in just a moment, I'm going to give you a link, and at that link, you'll be able to complete all the answers on your sheet there. But before I turn you loose on the link, let me show you a little bit about what's going on with Econ Express and give you a little background on how we got here. So the basic idea, and I've explained this so many times and put it in for so many grants, I've got it down to a pretty good spiel here. The basic idea is for a teacher or a student to be able to come here and learn, practice, and assess basic economic concepts. All right, that's the shortest version of it. An online resource where you can learn, practice, and assess basic economic concepts. And the way it's designed and the way it's set up is that we've put essentially 51 concepts. So there's one of your answers on your sheet. 51 concepts into 5 different domains. All right, very similar to another resource that's out there from the Council on Economic Education that you plug into your computer. But ours is different, and you'll see why in just a second. If you see on my screen here, you'll notice that GPB is very prominent in the top left up here. That's Georgia Public Broadcasting. That is because they are our host for this site, and they are a key partner in the development of the site. So it's going to be hosted on their page, at least for now, for the foreseeable future. We do have domains like econexpress.org. Econexpress.com was taken, but we have econexpress.org, econexpress.us. We have all those saved. So eventually we'll be placing it there. But that's why you see the GPB up in the top left. So what I'm going to do is a very quick, just sort of really big overview, and then I'll give you, I'll probably have time to give you a couple minutes to do some of the things that it says to do on your worksheet there. Okay, so here we go. So let's say you just got here and you're interested, I don't know, in learning about production possibilities, right? Because that sounds like the kind of thing you'd want to learn. When you scroll down from the top, you'll see there's a little tab here on the right-hand side that just has you can click there and go right to domain 1. Or you can jump to whatever domain you were interested in. So fundamentals, micro, macro, international, personal finance. There's another answer for your worksheet right there. Now, in a moment, I'm going to turn you loose on this first concept here, and I'll give you a link to that directly. But I want to kind of give you a broader overview of what happens on these pages. And so I'm going to scroll down here to our production possibilities curves page, and a few things that will be here eventually that are not here. So now you're on concept 14, production possibilities curves. Now, remember I said at the beginning, this is a resource for teachers and students. Teachers and students. At the Georgia Council, our mission is to help teachers. So what will eventually be right over here on the right-hand side under where it says standards are links to things like lesson plans. We have sort of a video series that we're starting to work on. So we'll have links there to things like our YouTube page and things of that nature. So in addition to standards, there might be something here that says, teach this concept. All right, and that's something a teacher would click on, not the student, obviously, that kind of thing. But essentially, it's broken into 3 parts: learn, practice, assess. So here's our learn section. All right, and they're all set up the same way. All of the concepts look identical in terms of their formatting. So in the learn section, we divided the content into 3 levels. All right, there's the beginner, which it defaults to. There's an intermediate level, which has a little deeper content, a little richer content, as you might imagine, and then advanced. And the advanced really, there's a big range of advanced content. Some of it is just slightly more advanced than intermediate, and some of it is like, whoa, that's college stuff. Sort of depends on the content and what we felt comfortable putting in there. I would not say that it's all AP level. So don't go in thinking that, but it's not like, oh, this is beginner, this is college prep, this is AP. It's not quite like that. But anyway, so you click through your readings. I'm not going to read all this to you, but you see we've got graphs and stuff like that in there. And then when you're ready, when you've read however much you want to read, or you feel comfortable moving on to the next thing, you'll scroll down and now you get to practice. You get to practice what you read. And in the practice section, and this is the section we spent the most time on, and it's sort of the fun section, there is some kind of interactive activity. And it's a little different depending on what you're doing. So I'll show you this one real quickly. Some of them are simple drag and drops, like you're going to experience when you do the scarcity one in a moment. Some are graph building, like this one. Some are, there are some kind of complex ones. The budget one, for example, you have to actually go in and put numbers in, and it subtracts and adds and so on and so forth. But remember what you're trying to do. You're trying to practice this concept of building a PPC. So you've got a little description here. And if you're like, whoa, that text is small, we know that's one of the things we're working on. So it says this, I'll read this one to you because it might be really small for you to read on your screen. It says, if Canon Land dedicates all of its resources to producing econos, they can make 400 of them. Drag the yellow dot to the correct spot on the graph. So I take my yellow dot, and if I produce 400 econos, I'm not producing any doodads. And that probably should be in the description too. If Canon Land decides to dedicate all of its resources to producing doodads, it can make 800 of them. So I put that down there in 800. If I wanted to split it, obviously I could do, oh, I didn't put that one quite in the right spot. What was that one? Oh, and say I got a little try again message there. 200 econos, 400 doodads. So I should have been there. And then the student gets to put their line where it goes, which is pretty obvious where it goes, but you'd be surprised at how often people don't put it in the right spot. And then so on and so forth. And what happens is now you are supposed to drag this to another efficient spot on the line. So I could either put it here or anywhere on the line, it works. And then I'm supposed to put this one. It says, oh no, some of Canon Land's workers have become temporarily ill and they cannot work. So we know that should go where? That should go below the line, and so on and so forth. All right, so you get the idea, right? And they're all like that. So every concept has some kind of activity like this. I'll show you 2 more here very briefly. And then it's time for you to assess yourself. Once you're done practicing, you've learned a little bit about PPCs, you've practiced it, it's time for you to assess yourself. And the way the assessment works is you get 5 multiple choice questions. Some have graphs like the one you see here. If you're we're working on the scale of the website right now. That's probably the last thing we've got to sort of figure out is there's a lot of scrolling up and down. We're working on that. It'll get better. So if you click on your answer, I got that one right. I'm just going through these very quickly to show you what happens. I got that one wrong. So I'm practicing with my PPC questions. That one doesn't have a graph. And look what happens when I get to the last question. I get this opportunity to send my results to my teacher. So I got a 3 out of 5. All right. So learn, practice, assess. They all work like that. And then when I'm done, I simply go back and boom, I'm back to the page. I'll show you 2 other interactives real quick, and then I'll give you like 3 minutes to try the scarcity one on your own. I haven't made a note here which ones I wanted to show. Oh, let me show you the CPI one. The CPI one's kind of an interesting deal. So you're teaching CPI, inflation, and there's a lot of things you can stress here, obviously. So we decided to focus the activity on how is this created? Like, where do these numbers come from? We hear this CPI like it's just some magic number. So we wanted the students to build one and to get the feel for how it works. So you put your items into your convenient basket here, right? So I'm going to get milk. I'm going to get me a streaming service. I'm going to buy me a t-shirt. I'm going to get a haircut. And I don't know, what do you want? Bread, toothpaste? I'm going to get some chicken. All right. So I put all that in and it does the math for me here. And now I can see the prices of my market baskets all the way across. Now, another feature that this website's going to have eventually is there are some lessons that we're going to write that are specifically using this. So the lesson itself would be built around this. So at this point, the teacher would pause and talk about how, hey, look, the price of chickens actually, decreased over time. The haircuts increased. And so that's why we use a market basket, because some things go up in price, some things go down in price. And now when I'm ready, I click view consumer price index, and all the math has been done for me. And what I can use this for is to teach the students about where the CPI kind of comes from, right? I can teach them the formula if I want to, but what's more important here is I get these 3 different prices. I show them that it's one market basket over the other. And here's a really cool feature. I can change the base year. So it defaults to year 1, but if I wanted to, I could make the base year 2. And now the CPI for that year is 100. Or I could make the base year 3. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the base year is, right? And that's what I'm trying to point out. And the final thing that happens is now I can view the inflation rates and how we calculate this. And the sort of the selling point here is this bottom line. It actually shows the formula. And you point out to the students, it doesn't matter what year you pick. Is the base year, the inflation rates stay the same because it's relative inflation, right? So we get all complicated with these formulas and stuff like that. And ultimately, so it's a cool little teaching tool. It works real well. If you pick different items for the market basket, there's different levels of inflation. So that's another good discussion to have with the students as well. And then of course, there's your assessment items down at the bottom. One that's quite different in structure is the trade balance one. So balance of trade here, the activity here, and I'm skipping through all the readings, but you get the idea. The idea with this one is you've got some things on the left over here, and you've got to put them whether they're exports or imports. And as you build, yes, sir, I got it. And as you start to put more stuff on here, you'll notice that your trade balance changes. Yeah, boy, I'm really missing these because I'm not reading them at all. They randomize, so you can't just get used to doing the same thing every time. And so here I am at the end. When I click done on this one, it's going to ask me if I got a trade surplus or a trade deficit. You always get a trade deficit. So anyway, that's it. There's 51 of these guys. I'm now going to put the scarcity page, the link to the scarcity page in the chat. And I see there's activity going on in the chat. Whenever I share my screen, my chat goes away. So I haven't read any of that yet, but I'm about to, because
they're dying for the link, Chris. Everybody's just like, give us the
link. I know you are. So before I give you the link, let me qualify a couple of things. Number one, this link won't work very long because this is just a staging server because it's not ready yet. Like I said, this is sort of the gamma version. But when it will, of course, let you know when it goes live. The other thing I wanted to point out is we are definitely working on things, like I said, the scaling of the page. So some of you can be like, whoa, Chris, that picture's huge. I can't even read the stuff on the page. We know, we got it. We're working on all that kind of stuff. Here is the link that should take you to the scarcity page. So yeah, so like I said, that it'll at least work through today and tomorrow, and then they'll probably take it down sometime over the weekend. But yeah, first 5 people that complete this, and I'll put my email in the chat here, and send me a completed Econ Express worksheet there, including a question. You got to ask me a question. That's really important. You will get one of our fancy schmancy shirts when they come out in August. And the logo is going to change a little bit. So it's 3:02. We've got 8 minutes. I'll give you some time to work on that. I'll also happily answer questions. And and finally, if you have something you want to share, or if you have a question about any of the stuff we've shared, we've got time built in for that. So I am done with my spiel. Teresa, Chandler, you got anything else you want to add, or something that triggered you to remember something that we didn't talk about?
I have a few other little resources that I've used to do activities and games virtually. So I'll just put the links in the chat box. And if anybody has any questions, they can email me.
And otherwise, thanks for coming. We will, of course, be pushing, once Econ Express is ready to go and we've got all the bugs worked out, you'll be hearing about it for sure. That's it for our session. Thank you for coming. If you have something you want to share, feel free to throw it in the chat or unmute yourself. Otherwise, when you're done, or if you don't have the little Econ Express sheet, you can head back to the main room. And it looks like Justin is going to start at 3:15. So you got plenty of time to give you something to drink or snack or whatever and meet you back in there. Thanks, everyone. I miss everybody. Hopefully we'll see you in person soon.
Thank you, everybody.
I'll hang out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, you guys.